Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'll be discussing the latest entry into dumbest statement from government about Brexit from Liz Truss, and talking about the Brexit advertising campaign that we're about to send out across the globe. But first of all, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So Liz Truss, who is the Trade Secretary and someone who, previously would have been considered one of the dumbest members of cabinet, could possibly do with a reappraisal, given the lowering of IQ of government that has been inflicted by Boris Johnson in terms of his choice of ministers. I'd now maybe consider her closer to average. Anyway, she's been championing her department's Ready to Trade campaign. In launching it, she said, and I quote, "The UK will be a champion of free trade as an independent trading nation." Right. Champion of free trade. The UK. The country that has just decided to abandon the largest free trade area in the world. Literally, it wouldn't be possible mathematically to form a larger free trade area than we've already just left. So at best, we could maybe do a bit worse than that. And this is the country that has given up free trade in all of these countries listed in return for free trade with no countries at all. Is that the UK that's going to be a champion of free trade? Anyway, on to the campaign. So what is Ready to Trade all about? So apparently it goes like this. On February the 1st, which is the day after Brexit Day, so it's our first day outside of the EU, all exciting, we're going to be launching an advertising campaign in 17 cities across 13 countries around the world, outside of the EU, of course. Very exciting, very exciting. And the message we're getting out there is that we're ready to trade. Now, thinking about this for a moment, what is she really saying? What is her target audience for this message? Essentially, as far as I can tell, if you're going to launch a campaign the day after Brexit to say to businesses in these countries that we're ready to trade, what she seems to be saying is that she wishes to engage in international trade with businesses who don't really know what Brexit is. Is that it? Is she actually wanting to engage with businesses whose knowledge of international affairs is so bad that they've never actually heard of Brexit? There's this thing. I've seen a poster from the UK government. It's about Brexit. What's Brexit? I don't know, but apparently it means they can now trade. Oh, fantastic. Is that it? Is that it, Liz? But let's assume that there are some businesses that don't know what Brexit is, but they are otherwise well up on international trading arrangements and were just bursting to buy British goods. Because the fact that they want to sell us goods doesn't help us. Remember, we need to sell goods to others. Obviously, there wants to be some give and take. So we're looking for businesses that don't really know Brexit's a thing, but are absolutely bursting to buy British products. Good. I don't wish to be negative, but I just see two teensy little problems with this campaign. So the first is that these businesses, wherever they may be, Unicorn Limited, whatever, they're going to have to conduct their trade with us without any agreement between their country of origin and the UK. Unless, of course, they happen to be one of these countries or regions. These are the only ones for which we have any continuity arrangements after Brexit. And when you consider that 100% of all of the agreements for these countries listed are just copies of the same agreements we had as EU members anyway, there isn't anything special about trading with the UK now as compared to before. Nothing's changed. So again, what's the campaign for? What's it telling businesses? That there's now something different, and that trade with the UK, if you weren't trading with the UK before, you now absolutely should? Nothing's changed. For those countries, for those businesses in the countries for which we have the continuity deals. But what about businesses outside the group where we have those continuity deals? Well, the trading conditions will now be much harder. At best the same, at worst much harder, because we don't have any deal at all. We're losing most of our trade agreements by giving up EU membership. And remember, we're not just talking about the trade deals that the EU has. The EU has bilateral agreements with an awful lot of countries as well. They'll all be going as well. So if the business is inside that group, then it's the same at best. And if it's outside that group, then it's worse. And so what exactly is the campaign supposed to do? If it's to attract new business immediately, then what are we offering that's better than before we left the EU? Because nothing, at best, nothing has changed. And for many countries, it's got worse. And if what we're doing is just informing them, warming them up for when conditions do change in the UK market, after the transition period, then the government would need to say what these new conditions are going to be in order for those businesses to decide if it represents a good opportunity for them or not. Because the government hasn't said a word about its roadmap for life after Brexit. It hasn't actually published what it intends Britain's markets to look like. So neither foreign governments nor businesses have the slightest idea about what the UK market will morph into. And as if this campaign weren't pointless enough, there's going to be another campaign. Oh, Liz can multitask here. There's another campaign. This is going to be inside the UK. And it's to explain to businesses that we're leaving the EU. Just in case any British-based businesses are that thick. And what they need to do in order to prepare for changes for January 2021. Except, of course, that those changes are still largely being concealed from businesses because, the government aren't saying what those changes are going to be. So the information to help those businesses is extremely limited. I talked recently about Northern Irish businesses being told about the crippling levels of bureaucracy that they're going to have to somehow find the resources to manage. Because, all the Brexiteers were talking a few years ago about the EU and all this bureaucracy we get. In actual fact, there's basically almost zero. But there's going to be. There's going to be a lot of it. But the thing is, aside from Northern Irish businesses being told there's going to be a crippling level of bureaucracy in order to trade goods inside their own country, between Northern Ireland and Great Britain, within the UK, apart from that, it's a bit vague, and how could it be otherwise? If we don't have official word on what our trading arrangements are going to be with our biggest customers around the world, especially on our own doorstep, how can you say to businesses what the procedures are going to be? We don't know. Those procedures haven't been made up yet. Apart from the ones that are decided elsewhere. The ones that are decided within the UK, they've not been decided yet. So a pointless campaign. In fact, two pointless campaigns. But there you go. This is going to be the nature of Brexit. It's going to become more and more mindless. But there we go. That's how it's going to kick off. If you're wondering what post-Brexit Britain's going to be like, well, on day one, it's going to be telling the world that we're ready to trade with no changing trading conditions, or where they are changing, just getting worse. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then also please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.